When we think of Michael Jackson, what comes to mind? The moonwalk? The sequin glove? Thriller? He was the king of pop, an icon who shattered records and cultural barriers. But behind the dazzling performances and sold-out stadiums was a man of profound complexity, a figure whose life was as much a spectacle of triumph as it was a story of deep, personal struggle. Today, we're not just looking at the legend. We're trying to understand the man. Who was the real Michael Jackson? From his earliest days, Michael's life was anything but ordinary. As the breakout star of the Jackson 5, he was a child prodigy, a little boy with an old soul's voice captivating the world. But this early fame came at a tremendous cost. He spoke often of a lost childhood, of long hours spent in the studio when he should have been playing outside. This relentless pressure, orchestrated by his father and manager Joe Jackson, forged an incredible performer but left deep emotional scars. Imagine being a global superstar before you've even hit your teens. This wasn't just a job. It was his entire existence, a world where the lines between Michael the person and Michael the product were blurred from the very beginning. As he transitioned from a boy band sensation to a solo artist, Michael's ambition was limitless. He didn't just want to make music. He wanted to change it forever. With Off the Wall, he proved he was a force to be reckoned with. But it was Thriller that launched him into the stratosphere. It wasn't just an album, it was a cultural phenomenon. The music videos were short films, the choreography was revolutionary, and the sales were unprecedented. He became the biggest star on the planet, a symbol of creative genius. But with this godlike status came an almost unimaginable level of isolation. He was surrounded by people, yet profoundly alone. He built his own fantasy world, Neverland Ranch, complete with an amusement park and a zoo. For him, it was a sanctuary, a place to reclaim the childhood he never had. But to the outside world, it became a symbol of his eccentricity, a source of endless fascination and suspicion. This is where the story takes a darker, more complicated turn. Michael's immense wealth and his desire to surround himself with the innocence of childhood created a perfect storm for exploitation. His inner circle was a revolving door of managers, advisors, and lawyers, many of whom saw him not as a person, but as a billion-dollar industry. There were constant battles for control over his finances and his career. People he trusted turned against him, leaking stories to the press and filing lawsuits. His generosity was legendary, but it also made him a target. He wanted to believe in the good in people, a trait that was both one of his greatest strengths and his most tragic vulnerability. And then came the allegations. In 1993, and again in 2005, Michael Jackson stood accused of the unthinkable. These claims rocked the world and forever altered his public image. For his supporters, it was an orchestrated shakedown, a cynical attempt to extort money from a man who was both wealthy and uniquely vulnerable. They pointed to the accuser's changing stories and financial motives. For his critics, it was the dark secret behind the whimsical facade of Neverland. We must navigate this part of his story with care. He was acquitted of all charges in the 2005 trial, a crucial legal fact. The jury heard the evidence and found him not guilty. However, the court of public opinion is a different beast, and for many, the damage was permanent. These accusations became an inseparable part of his legacy, a shadow that lingers to this day. The constant legal battles and the relentless media scrutiny took a massive toll on Michael, both emotionally and physically. The pressure to maintain his superstar status, to constantly outdo himself, was immense. He became increasingly reclusive, his appearance changed, and his health declined. The man who once seemed invincible on stage appeared fragile and weary. He was trapped in a paradox, adored by millions, yet hounded and scrutinized by the very world that celebrated him. He was a product of the fame machine and ultimately a victim of it. He was a human being at the center of a global hurricane of speculation, judgment, and insatiable curiosity. In the years leading up to his death, Michael was planning a massive comeback. The This Is It tour was meant to be his grand return, a final, spectacular showcase of his unparalleled talent. Rehearsal footage shows a man still at the peak of his powers, a perfectionist dedicated to giving his fans the greatest show on earth. The pressure to succeed was enormous, not just for his legacy, but for his precarious financial situation. He was driven, perhaps to the breaking point, to reclaim his throne as the king of pop. On June 25, 2009, the world stood still. Michael Jackson was gone, His sudden death revealed the extent of his struggles with chronic pain and insomnia, and the reliance on prescription medication that ultimately proved fatal. His passing triggered a global outpouring of grief, a testament to the profound impact he had on generations of fans. In death, some of the controversy seemed to fade, replaced by a renewed appreciation for his artistry and his humanitarian work. People remembered the music, the dancing, the way he made them feel. So who was the real Michael Jackson? Was he a boy who never grew up, a musical genius, a shrewd businessman, a victim of exploitation, a master of his own image, or a man with dark secrets? The truth is, he was likely all of these things and more. His life was a tapestry woven with threads of brilliant light and profound darkness. He was not a simple man, and there are no simple answers. He was a symbol of the dizzying heights of fame and its crushing, isolating lows. He showed us the power of art to unite people, but his story also serves as a cautionary tale about the voracious nature of celebrity culture. Perhaps the best way to understand Michael Jackson is to look at the legacy he left behind. His influence is everywhere, in the music of today's biggest stars, in dance moves seen around the world, and in the memories of millions. He wanted to heal the world with his art, to bring people together. And in many ways he did. But the man behind the music was caught in a lifelong struggle between the magic he created and the harsh realities of the world he lived in. His story is complex, and it forces us to ask difficult questions about fame, money, trust, and our own role as the audience. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If this story resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into the figures who shaped our world. See you next time.